What's up? Welcome back to another video. If this is your first one you're watching right now, I definitely recommend checking out the other track prep videos that I did. I did the oil change and some brakes and rotors as part of the track prep for the Civic. So this is part 3 of the whole track prep. Right now I'm doing spark plugs and some fuel lines. So as I am recording this, the track day did actually come and go. It was a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to be having a video of all of us racing, stuff like that. If this would ever be your first track day, then definitely check out that video. So if that video sounds like something you'd like to see, definitely subscribe so that way you guys can stay up to date and get notifications when I post that video. So until then, I'm just going to flash back to what happened a couple days ago.
Flashback.
So if I look exactly like I looked like in the brake and rotor video, that is because this happened pretty shortly after that video ended. So we started up the car just to make sure that the brakes felt right, and all of a sudden the car kind of smelled a lot like gas. So it ended up being that the original fuel line that comes from the actual tank used to come right up into the back of this regulator. But I ended up running it so that way all the pressure came right into the rail, and then anything that wasn't used then got pushed away. So I ended up having a female, a double male, and then another female AN fitting. So it was leaking over there, and now Ryan is going to be on his way with a new 6-foot or so fuel line, so that way we can hook it up and hopefully get this all done. But we had to get this cowl out of the way, which is the plastic piece that the windshield wipers sit in, and also this metal piece right here. We had to get that out so that way we had to get this out so then that way we could get to where the connections were, and we actually have to take all of that off to do the spark plugs. So I thought I might as well do the spark plugs while I have everything out. I was just going to go over quickly how to remove this cowl and stuff, because there aren't too many videos about that. So I'm going to do that step by step real quick. Like I said before, this plastic cowl is going to be right here. This is what your windshield wipers sit on. This basically you can just pull it right out. There is going to be a couple clips right here, and in the corners there's just like the plastic body pin clips. You just kind of yank hard enough they'll come out. Or you can just prime with a screwdriver first, but mine are kind of old and have been used a couple times, so they come out pretty easily. After that, this metal piece is going to be in the way for you to get to your spark plug cover. So what you're going to have to do is right here there's 3 bolts, one 10mm and 2 12s. Same thing on the other side, one 10mm, 2 12s. And then across the back there's one 10mm, one 10mm right in the middle, and then one more right here. So I'm going to pull this out and show you guys on a bench. So this is what I'm talking about right here. This is the one 10mm and the 2 12s. Right here is the 10mm, another 10mm, another 10mm, one more 10mm, and 2 12s. So to get all of this out, it is kind of annoying. You definitely need some extensions, and try not to drop those, otherwise they'll go back and hit the firewall kind of. You can get them, but it is going to kind of be a pain to do, and you'll probably scratch up your hand a bit. So you're going to have to get that out of the way so that way you can get to the valve cover. So once you get both of those plastic and then metal cowl out of the way, you will be able to get to the spark plug cover. This is also how you would do like a header or anything, because now you can get behind here and reach the header. Bolts. You can also see this is my turbo header up here with all the crazy looking manifold pieces, as well as some of the DEI heat wrap that I have on like part of the intake and the brake lines, stuff like that, AC lines. Anyway, once you get that off, there's going to be 2 10mm nuts and 2 10mm bolts, which I have right here on this brake rotor, the 2 nuts and the 2 bolts. Once you get those off, this will just pull straight up, revealing your coil packs. So to get any of the coil packs out, you're going to have to remove this small 10mm bolt. There's one for each of these, as well as the ones that had the nuts on them actually have now a bolt instead. So you're just going to have to get all 4 of these off, and then you want to make sure that you keep all 4 because they obviously go back in. They shouldn't be too hard to get out. If they are giving you a lot of problems, then I would recommend bringing it somewhere and not stripping it or anything like that. Once you pull all these out, you have to remember which one goes where. The wire is short enough that you really can't get cylinder 4 and cylinder 3 and whatnot, so firing wise this is pretty hard to mess up. So I just took out 3 of the 4 bolts. You want to just make sure that when you put these back, you put back the studded ones on cylinder 2 and 4, because that is where it lines up on this valve cover, spark plug cover thing. So So now all of these are out, and now you should be able to just lift these straight up. And then you're going to need a spark plug socket. So a spark plug socket is exactly what it sounds like. It is a socket designed for spark plugs. So what you do with this is it's a 5/8, so it fits on the ring of the spark plug itself, the nut that's on there. But there's also this little rubberized piece inside, so that way a spark plug can stay in it, because you obviously have to pull it out of your engine, so that way it doesn't fall out. You can get these anywhere. Just make sure that you get one specifically for your car, because sometimes spark plugs are different sizes, but 5/8 is basically the common car's size. Also, for spark plugs, you want to make sure that you have it properly gapped. Some of them are going to come gapped perfectly for your car out of the box, but these I needed to crush a little bit so that way it would fit a feeler gauge of 25 thousandths of an inch. So I need to do that. So when you guys pull these out, they're going to come straight out. You do have to obviously disconnect the this blue clip from here. There's just one little push clip. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it out all the way. Just have them lined up so that way you remember which one goes in which cylinder, although I don't think it really matters. I've just never decided to change them. If anything is your issue and you pull the spark plugs out and your car still is acting up, it might be your coil pack that has gone bad, not your spark plugs. But it's always good to just double check your spark plugs. So when you take these out for the first time, especially if it's been quite a while since you've done spark plugs, they might kind of give you a tough time coming out. But because these were changed about a year ago when I got my car first tuned, they were pretty easy to get out. These are a little bit dirty. I don't know how well it'll autofocus onto this. They're a little bit dark. These were exposed to E85, so E85 attracts moisture and stuff, so these kind of get rusty. So I definitely need to change these. I'm also going one step colder. So I just replaced all four of the spark plugs. All four of the old ones are right here. So these spark plugs that I actually went with are Iridian NGK. They are the BKR9EIX or LX. I'm not really sure if that's an I or an E. Anyway, I had these in my car before. I had the 8 inside of my car, and now I have the 9. So these are 2 step colder than my original spark plugs that I had in the car when it was NA. So these are also gapped at 25 thousandths of an inch. You guys can double check with your tuners or just check forms and stuff like that to figure out what gap you'll need. And then you could do that, make sure they go in. Now I'm just going to put all the coil packs back in and then fix the fuel line really quick. So this is the connection I was talking about, right by basically near the valve cover. This was right there. I'm going to just try and get this autofocus on it. The male double, or the female, the double male, and then another female connection actually was leaking right here. You could see the hose was like coming out of itself. So it was actually kind of pissing backwards onto the firewall a little bit. It wasn't that bad, but you could definitely smell it, and it left a puddle underneath the car. So I'm glad we caught this while we did, and I wasn't like stranded on the road or, God forbid, something caught on fire. So I got another fuel line with me right now. Ryan just picked it up. You can probably hear his car idling in the background. And I just have to steal some of these fittings off, as well as this one down here, and then we're gonna re-put it back into the car. So the video ended a little bit abruptly there. I didn't really want to film me putting the fuel line in because it was me underneath the car. It was like a one-off custom piece, you know, it wasn't really anything that you guys might be able to incorporate into your own cars necessarily. So I just put the AN fittings back on the new line and then connected them to the old lines, and now I have one solid 6-foot line instead of having like 2 3-foot lines connected, which is where that leak was. So it was just a good peace of mind to now have that, especially if that happened on the track. That would have been a big issue to get fuel all over the track, and also some crazy high temperatures with gas definitely wouldn't mix. So definitely glad that we caught that when we did, and not while it was on the road or, God forbid, on the track. These spark plugs were a good little thing to do, just a peace of mind thing. It was 1 year since I had done spark plugs for the original tune, so I just got 1 step colder spark plugs on top of that and re-gapped them and everything. The plugs that were inside definitely weren't too dirty, but it was just a peace of mind thing to do for the track. I just wanted to make sure I had no issues going to the track. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the track day already came and went, and it was actually a lot of fun. Everyone enjoyed themselves. I did have a couple of issues with the Civic, but you'll see that in the next video that should be up pretty soon. So if you guys are interested in seeing the track day, how my car performed, Ryan's car performed, and how Billy's car, which you haven't seen yet, which is an Evo 9, performed, then definitely subscribe to stay up to date on new videos, and I'll be posting that one pretty soon. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, you guys can check me out right here. I usually post in my stories when a new video goes up. There's also a link in my bio all the time for the latest video. So until the track day video comes out, I will see you guys then.